Hello Scorpio, and welcome to your in-depth forecast for October for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you an overview of the major strands of this month and then go on to give you a more detailed analysis, so please stay with me. This month sees your traditional ruler of Mars collaborating with the Sun through the first 17 days, but for you this is in house 12. Now, this is the sign of Libra, very much to do with balance, but it's also to do with the more psychological strands in your situation. So if you like, our shadow side, our subconscious, anything to do with fears, but it can also be to do with people that aren't necessarily those who have our best interests at heart. But having the Sun conjoining with Mars is a very potent combination. Now, of course, Mercury is retrograde in this area too, through to the 18th before it goes forwards. But the exciting news to tell you is the Sun is going to be entering your sign on the 23rd, and Mars, your traditional ruler, will join Scorpio on the 30th, and it's going to be with you through to the middle of December. So that really is going to bring a lot of extra dynamism and strength, physical vitality to your situation towards the end of this month. But if you're new to me or yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you do so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, you can subscribe for your free written daily horoscope that will be fired to your device each morning by clicking on the link below. Now, I think I'm a bit unusual among YouTube astrologers that I still do a lot of writing for a lot of publications, and my daily horoscope is used in Britain's most read daily newspaper, the Metro. So you can grab your version of this and gain an insight every single day of what's going on for your sign. Also, with year 2022 racing up, if you'd like to get your personal forecast for next year, if you order it now, you can get the rest of year 2021 free. Also give you a character analysis and 30% off. Now, these are based on your time, date and place of birth, so help you to ascend above Zodiac forecasting, and will give you searing insights to your future prospects, but also help you to avoid some pitfalls as well as see some opportunities. Now, the deeper strands of this month sees a piece of news which I don't feel many other astrologers will be mentioning, and that is that your modern ruler, your higher octave ruler of Pluto, yes, it's going forwards on the 6th, which is wonderful, but it's also collaborating with Jupiter in a semi-sextile right through this month. Now, Jupiter's in the part of your horoscope to do with home, emotion, family. And Jupiter itself is going to end its 4-month retrograde on the 18th. So that's 2 moments to celebrate there for sure. But Jupiter in this semi-sextile with Pluto, which is very enabling, helps you to use your thinking and also your communication on a daily basis, working towards creating a more secure environment for yourself, a more emotionally secure base. Now, of course, because you've got Saturn in the 4th house, and that's retrograde through to the 11th, it has been potentially a bit of a challenge for you. If you recall, from the 22nd of March to the 2nd of August 2020, when Saturn just nibbled into Aquarius, and then it came back on the 17th of December 2020, and it's been in Aquarius since, and of course in retrograde now for many months. Perhaps where you live, how you live there, has provided some challenges. And of course Saturn this year has been squaring up with the planet of rebellion, Uranus, in your sector of relating. So close relationships may have been a little bit fraught at times, or perhaps it's to do with where you live or the people you live with. So that could be housemates, you know, it could be in some kind of shared accommodation. It's not necessarily only in a personal relationship. So as we're coming into this month with all that background energy going on, I think what that semi-sextile between Jupiter and Pluto is telling you is to keep the faith about your direction of travel. Because having your traditional ruler Mars alongside the Sun in the 12th house can be quite combustible, particularly when we get to the new moon. Now, new moons are known as an opportunity to really envision what we want and to work towards a goal that comes with the full moon that follows it. But I actually think that this new moon is quite complex, because Mars alongside the moon in itself is quite a vigorous energy, because the moon benefits from calm, and of course Mars is about action, but it can also be about impatience, and in the 12th house it can be about past hurts and upsets. So it's possible that having the Sun, the Moon and Mars together can create a certain volatility. But then if we add to this the fact that Uranus, the planet of freedom, of truth, of rebellion, of disruption, is in your sector of relating, something around a close relationship could be put on edge at the very least from the point of that new moon of the 6th. Because it's possible that something's going to come into the open this month which is quite painful. Now, it may be you that's going to let somebody know about something you've been keeping very close to your chest for a very long time. You can be quite private about your own personal affairs, but quite outgoing and direct about commenting on other people's situations. And it may be that someone's almost going to return fire, to use a phrase, in a way that's quite similar to the way you've operated in the past. And the reason for this is because Mercury is retrograde in your 12th house, some private issues or some anxieties or some vulnerabilities can sort of be going around the back of your mind. Don't be surprised if you have some quite vivid dreams, or you feel a bit on edge or nervous or a bit agitated. And in the first 5 days of this month, Mercury in that 12th house, which can be about a lack of trust, or it can reveal people who are not as trustworthy as we would like, that's clashing with Pluto in your 3rd house of everyday communication. So a bit of gossip can come into the open in the first 5 days of this month, and it might feel quite awkward. Maybe someone's going to say something to someone you know mutually that you don't approve of. They won't necessarily be saying it or seeing it as you do. In fact, this could go all the way to being a bit malicious, sorry. And then in week 3 of this month, the Sun goes into a powerful right angle with Pluto, and this potential for things to suddenly, potently come into the open is extraordinarily strong. Perhaps you've been dealing with something over a very long period of time that relates to your past. Perhaps there was an injustice. Perhaps somebody didn't handle a situation very delicately, or wasn't very sensitive towards your needs, or perhaps someone was in some way not just unkind, but in some way had some power over you, whether it was physical or worse in some way, if you get my hint, that wasn't acceptable. You may have a very strong need to articulate your sense of injustice this month, or, as I say, someone could say something to you, an observation on your behaviour, which perhaps could come as a bit of a surprise to you. And then from the 17th through to the 26th, well, your 2 rulers, traditional Mars, modern Pluto, they go into a battle, and it can get a bit raw, and it could even get a bit unpleasant, to be really honest. So something could really erupt into the open of a rather volcanic nature that up to now has been a secret, or something that's been kept under wraps, or it's a point of view that someone hasn't expressed, and when it all comes out, it could be very wounding indeed. But I want to reassure you, Scorpio, because as we start this month, Venus is actually in your sign. So whilst it's possible that you may get a clearer understanding of who you can rely upon this month, you're also going to clearly understand who you can't, and it's going to be quite stark. So by the end of the month, I think you're going to be moving into your power and actually thinking, do you know, I'm glad all that came out, because now I'm less burdened. I can move forwards in a more dynamic way. It's also worth knowing that when Venus does move on the 7th into the sign of Sagittarius, your financial situation can improve quite dramatically. And there may be something to do with a property matter that could be very fortunate for you from the 10th through to the 16th. Now, obviously, we also have Saturn, which has been going backwards for some months, and that starts to go forwards on the 11th in your sector of the home and the family and emotion. It's followed by Jupiter on the 18th, and Mercury, which has been dragging its feet, also goes forwards on the 18th too. Now, Mercury won't actually emerge from shadow until the 3rd of November. So still may be something just simmering in the background, but I think by the end of this month, on the whole, most of what has been held down or repressed could have really come out. You know, it's like the boil has been lanced, if you like. So this might sound a bit daunting, but you're a very strong member of the Zodiac, and, you know, very able to recreate yourself and regenerate yourself over and over because of the co-rulership, co-regent of Pluto, which is really helpful to you. So see this as an opportunity, but I think the full moon on the 20th does interact with the Sun square with Pluto. So something, you know, could come out around then in the following 2 weeks. But then on the 23rd, the Sun arrives in your sign for the first time in 11 months. Your physical vitality will go up. You'll move into the moment more, and that's going to be very empowering in itself. Also, although Venus does get into a square with Neptune from the 23rd to the 29th, this just suggests in a romantic context, if you meet somebody new and you really like them and it's very sensual, I wouldn't, you know, it's lovely to go out for dinner and share those sort of pleasurable pursuits, but I wouldn't be giving them a diamond ring if you've just, you know, recently met somebody. That can be quite an illusory combination. So just take your time if you're getting to know someone. Now, the Sun obviously moving into your sign gives you the chance to move forwards on individual hopes and projects. But someone close to you may be a bit obstructive or not get it from the 27th to the 31st as the Sun squares up with Saturn, or you may have a major moment of self-doubt. But take heart, because on the 30th, as I said before, Mars storms into your sign, and the difference between Mars in Libra and Mars in your sign is Mars in Libra is in detriment, in your sign it's in dignity, and so right through to the second week of December, Mars is really going to be on fire, and this is amazing for you, injecting greater urgency into what you're doing, being more single-minded, more purposeful, going for what's important for you, and you're going to feel much more alluring in terms of your personal appearance and attractiveness. And some of those worries and anxieties which may have or do come into the open this month, at least, you know, as I said, the boil will be lanced. So there could be some very powerful conversations and experiences this month, but it's a transitional phase for you. And by the end of the month, you're really going to be back on track, but actually, potentially, a lot of healing can go on because you could let go of a lot of past hurts and upsets and angers if you give yourself permission, or you can let some people know who've been very unjust towards you just what you really think, but just be prepared that someone may confront you with a stark opinion of your attitudes or personality, which is a little bit of a surprise. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Scorpio. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, take care, and goodbye.